Welcome to another Tributor tutorial, guys. Today we're going to build this Grenadier tribute to Kahl. So all the tributors will be in batches of 8. This first one starts with a length of 1 meter. The color is going to be set to yellow. We're going to use the Omega code 4 times, and we're going to set its scale to maximum, which is 2. Now make the other 7 identical to this one. Now the next one's going to be very similar. I'm going to go for a length of 1.5 this time. I'm going to pick a slightly more orangey tone. I'm going to go with Omega 4 times again. I'm going to set the scale to max. I'll go ahead and make 7 more of these. For the next one, I'm sure you're starting to spot a pattern. We are going to step up to 2 meters. I'm going to go for a more intense orange or red. Omega 4 times. And max scaling. Make 7 more of these. This is the final layer to get color. We're going to pick the deepest red you have access to. We're going to use the same normal 4 Omega codes. I'm going to have the scale set to max like normal. I'm going to set its length to 2.5 meters. And again, you need to make 7 of these. Now the final layer we need is going to be the all black one. That's our silhouette. Now you're going to skip the increments of 0.5 and go a whole meter step on this one. So this one's going to be a length of 3.5 meters. All black coloring and still with max scaling. Omega 4 times as before. And proceed to make another 7 more of these. As I place these tributors, we're going to do it one color at a time, build up an entire set of colors, and then do a layer below it. This is to avoid any dodgy clipping because the tributors don't like clipping into each other. So this is the most friendly way I found to do it. So we start by putting 2 tributors side by side with the 1 meter grid snap active. Make sure that you have the same spacing that I've got shown on screen. This way you're going to have no jarring lines in your tributor. You're then going to pick the tributor that has the next half step up in length, and you're going to proceed to clip that with 1 meter grid snapping into the existing yellow one on each side. This will give you a second layer of colour. Again, it will have no gaps. You're then going to proceed to get 1 of each layer, keep clipping it into the existing tributors in the same fashion, and you should end up with all 5 layers nice and well aligned. Now we're going to replicate that whole process again, just 1 meter lower. Again, keep 1 meter grid active all the time, and all your tributors will just snap into each other. And you're going to simply repeat this process for the other 3 layers, and you'll end up with your full-size tributor canvas. Okay, so with all the tributor stuff out of the way, you can start thinking about how we're actually going to construct our image. Now what I've got in my mind is to have some kind of representation of the plains of Eidolon. So I'm going to start by putting in small hills and mountains. Now we're going to treat the layers like they're lines that highlight distance, right? So the very palest layer right at the back, we're going to put our mountains nice and high, because that's what's in the furthest background. And then we're going to add subsequent hills as they come closer to the camera, as it were, and we're going to slowly lower them in height. So at this point you don't have to treat this like a guide. It's not gospel. The image is not going to fail because you pick something else. Feel free to experiment a little bit. Now we'll say things like plants and flags because they have a little bit of motion in them, they can really help bring your image to life. Now when you're placing things like flags and trees, try to remember that you're trying to create a sense of scale. So don't go putting a really huge tree on a mountain that's really far away. What's better is if you start really small in the distance. As they get closer to you where you would be standing, you could then start to make them a little bit bigger. So after your landscape, you now want to consider what goes under that black layer. I find these work best when you include some kind of framing. So maybe some superstructure or some very close rocks or plant life. Just things to help round out the image so you don't get that harsh black square that's on the edge of the tributors. So for this piece, obviously because it's Grenadier wreckage, I'm going to use little bits of Grenadier ships. Maybe some spinning fans, again get some dynamic movement in there. And then finally, let's slot in Kahl. Obviously I'm not sculpting Kahl, he's way too tiny. I'm just going to cheat and use the Grenadier statue. And also I'm going to show a couple of these little fighters in the background. I think Barrow had these, you might have just missed them, but they're a really cool little piece. Again, they've got a little bit of movement to them. A little bit of movement goes a long way in these images. The final thing I'm going to add are these little ice decorations. They're going to add some really soft lines in the sky like clouds, just to break up the sky a little bit. And there we have it. The image is all finished. Now I've just slapped on a really basic Grenadier looking wall. Obviously you can take the time to consider how you're going to frame it a little bit better. If you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to like and subscribe, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. Much love.